evening, guys. It's Brian, Cliffside Outfitters. Glad to have you back with us. You'll have to excuse my voice. I'm getting over a little bit of a winter cold, so it is what it is. But so we're back working on the Hydrosport, and today what we're working on is we went by the store. We bought a little part for the Hydrosport. Bought one of these right here. And what that is, that's a base for a seat pole. You know, you put it down in there and your seat goes on top, right? And the reason that we bought this is because we've done a lot of work on this boat. And we're getting to the point to where we're getting ready to put the deck in. So I've given it some thought, and through the project, if anything comes to mind that I'd like to improve about this particular vessel, I'm trying to incorporate that. So you have to keep that in mind. I mean, we're so deep into this boat. If there's anything I don't like about it, well, now's the time to change it. This is a typical bass boat. It's got the pedestal seat in the back, pedestal seat in the front. I do more crappie fishing than I do bass fishing, to be honest with you. You can probably tell that by the videos. So there's something, you know, a lot of times me and one of the guys, one of the boys, will go out with my buddy Reith. We call him Garvis, and you know, there's three of us in the boat. I fish three in the boat a lot, especially when we're fishing straight down for crappie, and we've all fished for years, so we can manage that well. But one thing is, the guy in the middle always is sitting on one of those fold-out chairs or cooler. So as I put this back, excuse me. So as I put this boat back together, I've decided that I want a third row seat option. You know, I want that third seat in the middle, that we don't have to be there all the time, but I have an option of putting a pedestal between the front and the rear seat, and we'll do an offset. I'm not going to run it right down the middle because that's where my center stringer. We're going to come off, we're going to offset it a little bit to the side, and then I'll do an offset pole base, and we'll utilize that seat. And you will see later on in the project when we put the seats in and we're doing stuff like that, the whole idea for what I'm thinking about doing. But with long story short, so I bought this pole base. Now the problem with this pole base, where I'm putting it, is in one of those pockets we talked about that was going to hold, it's a buoyancy pocket. It just holds air. So we've got to close this up somehow, and we've got to do it in such a way that it's going to be permanent, and it's going to be maintenance free. We don't want water leaking down in this to get it, you know, down into that, and then now we got a fish tank, right? But so we've got to close this up, and I think what we can do, if I can get this piece out, I think that we can put a plug in here and weld this up, and of course we're going to glass over it on top of that and make sure that we don't have any issues, but let's see if we can get this plug out. So my first thought on this one is it's probably pressed in, right? So let's see if we can press it back out. I'm going to just put it on the vise here. I think it's going to be a solid surface. And I've got a socket. And I'm going to see if we can make any progress. I hope I don't tear this up. Let's see what happens. Well, I can feel it moving. That's a good thing. Oh, yeah. That actually is working better than I anticipated. Well, that was easy enough. See, this piece right here, I would suspect that it's some kind of plastic. There's no way that we can do any welding on this with that plastic piece. Furthermore, you know, around the top here we've got a good solid weld. That's good. I don't think we have to worry about that. But down here we're going to weld that piece in. We're going to put the plug in, and then we're going to I'm gonna seal this. I'm gonna fill it with peanut butter. I'm just paranoid about the whole deal, and we're gonna doubly make sure that we've got this sealed before we put it in the boat. All right, so I found me a all that is a plug out of an electrical box. Y'all know, some of y'all know that that's what I do for a living. I just happened to find that, and it fits right here pretty good. So we're going to try to tack it in place. Now I'm going to warn you, if you're a professional welder and you're watching this, close your eyes, because it's probably going to be ugly. I'm not a welder. In fact, in my profession, if anytime you got sparks and hot heat, that's a bad thing. So we're going to do the best we can. We're going to try to glob this on here, and we'll see how it works out. I ain't gonna offend you professionals by saying we got that welded. We got that sort of glued together with metal, and I think it's gonna be just fine, because we're gonna cover that with epoxy and glass and all that good stuff anyway. I think it's strong enough to where it's gonna hold it together, and that's all we're shooting for here. So let me see if I can get this ground down to where it looks presentable, and then we'll come back. Alright guys, it was ugly, but we was able to accomplish what we needed to accomplish. We closed in the end. This is stainless steel on top, and it's welded to a piece of mild steel on the bottom. And they galvanize it, you know, and they save a little money, which allowed me to manipulate the mild steel. So I put the plug in, and we got it welded in. And we got it ground down, and we don't have a whole lot of pits or any problems here. So now we can put the glass on it. The resin is going to seal any imperfections from my inability to weld, and I think we're going to be ready to go. Got it, me back in there, right? Good deal. Okay guys, so there's a couple things that I want to do. The thickness of this plate, you know, we could just cut a hole and screw this straight down to the top, to the deck. However, what I would like to do is recess this plate a little bit. We're going to reinforce underneath, so I'm not concerned about the deck itself holding this. So we've got a 1/4 inch, well, it's not quite a 1/4 inch, but we've got some material here that we'd like to recess, because, you know, this sticks up enough. We don't want this whole apparatus sticking up in the middle of the deck, and you know, you have to shuffle across it. But anyway, but we've got the back part here, and you see they've got bracing. You know, the shoulders on this is wider than the actual stem. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut a hole in the deck that accommodates the shoulders. We're coming in from the back side. We're going to glass, and we're going to peanut butter, and we're going to make for certain that this is all sealed. That's also going to give that some strength. And then when we put our reinforcement material on the back, we'll just be building on top of that. So I'm not concerned with, you know, having a hole that big in the deck and trying to support this plate. So what I've got here, I've got a, that's about a 2.5 inches. I've got a 2 5/8. The reason I'm using a little bit bigger one is because their welds, like mine, protrude just a little bit. So we'll drill a hole in this Coosa deck and see how it fits. Now you see that I marked out where I want this thing to be. So we're gonna see if we can line it up. This right here's the center stringer. We didn't want to have any material, any screws or anything in that center stringer. So we're gonna offset it. Like I said, we're gonna do an offset seat pole, and that'll accommodate this being offset, about 4 inches. We'll do a 5-inch offset seat pole, and we'll end up an inch off center line, which will be a good position for somebody to fish. Now the next thing we're going to do, I've got an old router here, and what I'm going to do, I've set this router, I've laid that plate on the plate on this router, and I've adjusted this straight bit to where it's the same thickness as this steel plate. We're going to route out the Coosa here so that can recess and it'll be flush. We'll glass over it. And the only thing that'll stick up will be the little plastic protrusion, that keeps the pole from squeaking, basically. This certainly gives you a little bit of anxiety. You replaced a deck that had a hole in it that caused the whole boat to rot. Here you are drilling a hole in it, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. So alright guys, that was the dustiest operation yet. That router works this material excellent, and it slings it everywhere. So, but I think we got what we need. You can see that it's not perfect, and it don't have to be. Oh yeah. So we got, it's not perfect. Just give me more places for goo to ooze out, I guess. But you can see that we're pretty flush here. By the time we lay our glass over the top of this, there's not going to be any transition. This is the only thing that's going to hit your boot. Alright, well, I tell you what. Tomorrow we'll come back, we'll glass this in. It's getting late, and we're going to cut it off for tonight. But basically that's how I'm going to put it in there. We're going to go through the process of put some bridging, support, and different things around the back. But I appreciate you hanging out with me this evening. Me and Smokey's about to starve to death. We're going to go eat supper and kick back. And until next time, this is Brian, Cliffside Outfitters. Y'all have a good day.